Hello and welcome to PH Vote. It's hashtag PH Vote. I'm Maria Ressa. After a 5-year break from politics, Jun Magsaysay is once again running for the Senate. He's been part of Congress 3 times as Zambales representative in the 1960s and a senator for 2 consecutive terms beginning in 1995. Magsaysay is running under Team Pinoy. His platform, improving economic programs, job opportunities, and good use of public funds. Good day, Jun. How are you?
Fine, Maria.
So tell me, this is what I always ask first. Give
Yes.
us the reason. Why should we vote for you?
All right. I've been out for 5 years, almost 6 years. After 12 years in the Senate, went to dairy farming and other agricultural activities. But last year, the chairman, Franklin Drilon of the Liberal Party, came and asked me to join. I said, why? He said, if you want more reforms, it's time to join because we have a president who's a reformist, who's determined, who's got the passion to improve everything, meaning change the whole tradition of political leadership. So I thought about it. I said, well, he's going to be there for 3 more years. Maybe I can help out. So simply, I just want to help out and improve the way things are being done in our country.
How would you describe politics today in the Philippines?
Politics still pretty much inclined towards families, which is not a good indication of the democratic process. However, there are always exceptions. There are families that can do better each time. But politics is less personal. We have a lot of groups that are trying to really democratize the whole process. We have more young leaders coming in, and they're very well trained, they're very well educated, they have the passion to improve their own communities. I've met with a lot of mayors and congressmen who just do it as they see it. So it's a good indication, it's improving.
People talk about change, but what does change mean for you?
To me, change is trying to be making the country and our society more competitive in the global arena. We've been in the global arena since the 1990s under World Trade Organization. And it means giving more education to our people. And even more important is to give them more opportunities right in their own country and so that they don't have to go overseas. To me, that is very important because the diaspora has been affecting a lot of families. So to me, change would be improving everything from top to bottom, including the economic factors of input so that our country will become, again, an attractive place to invest in and to work in.
Well, there's so many age-old problems, though. You talked about some of them, political dynasties, for example,
Yes.
70% of Congress, up to 70% of Congress, endemic corruption, educating the voter. Which of these things are important? How do you change these fundamental problems in the Philippines?
Well, we have a president who has shown these past 3 years that he means business, and he has to be fortified. In effect, his leadership and that of his cabinet must get a full support from not only the legislative part of government, but from amongst our people themselves. Because if the people do not get to change the culture of handouts and just leaning on the government all the time and not be self-reliant, then the same old stuff will continue. So these are things that are important, that his leadership continues to be inspiring. He has a very high level of credibility, people having faith and hope in his administration. The only way that can be sustained is for the people around him to see to it that his vision and approach to a better society will be followed through.
It's 25 days before elections.
Yes.
I mean, what have you discovered campaigning for these elections? What's different? Is there anything different about the Filipino voter today?
They're much more informed, especially the below 45. And those 45 are really informed because they enjoy politics. So on the whole, there's more wisdom There's more depth. They're more educated. The only thing is they have to read up some more on some of the candidates. They have to do some basic research before we get into choosing candidates who are beauty queens or handsome princess. Try to balance the entertainment with substance and depth.
How much of a role do you think vote buying will play in these elections?
The optical scanning system will point to more vote buying and less terrorism. In the previous manual kind of voting,
Yes.
it takes even weeks to know who are the winners. But in the PICOS, within a day or so, you know already, especially the national. So the distortion of the will of the people will be just before.
Yes.
And this will be vote buying, choral, and all those material enticements.
So you think vote buying will increase instead
I
of the
think
violence?
not necessarily increase, but become the dominant way to sway votes, especially in the poor areas. But in Manila, of course, there are pockets of poverty here. That will be an issue.
There are two Magsaysays running for the Senate.
Yes.
Again, that touches on dynasty, and it also seems to be a split within your own family. How do you address this?
The two Magsaysays running for the Senate is simply incidental. Mitos Magsaysay with the opposition, with Una, had been running since maybe 2 years ago, even before I imagined running myself.
Yes.
She was very strong with the previous administration. On my part, it's only last year that I realized that it's time to come back for supporting the reform program. So it's incidental. If it's to hark back on the previous administration, they should vote for her. But if they feel that the president is doing well and we have to support him, I think the voters should vote us, Team Pinoy, especially most of us, hopefully the 12 of us.
You're one of the older candidates running for office
I'm
now.
the most senior in
You're
the
the
Team
most-
Pinoy.
You're the most senior in Team
Most
Pinoy.
senior, but Manong Ernie Maceda's even more senior in the other side. It's all right. It's nature.
You're also, earlier on we talked about the Internet Man of the Year. What does that, explain that?
Well, this was an internet magazine that was so happy when the e-commerce law was passed.
I see.
So they just named it the Internet Man of the Year. But really, I have been in broadband since the 1970s, because cable TV, which we pioneered in 71, 72 with the Lopez's, is the original analog broadband of the industry. It's now just been digitalized a few years ago. So I've known about bandwidth, spectrum, broadband,
Yes.
coaxial cables, and finally fiber optics, that they look at me as a techie.
What would you say at the time that you were in the legislature, your greatest accomplishment there?
I think the e-commerce law is one big quantum leap on modernization of our industry. When we passed that, there were only about 10,000 seats. The number of employees are based on number of seats.
Yes.
But 12 years after, nowadays, there must be over 700,000 seats. So we're even bigger now than Big India on voice call centers. But we're still way behind India on other services like legal transcription, medical transcription, science, accounting. But we're moving fast because we have a lot of professionals, and that's good for us.
You ran the inquiry on the fertilizer scam.
Yes.
Where is that today?
Yes, I'm glad that you mentioned this, Maria, because it slept for 6 years during the last administration. But on November 2011, the Ombudsman raised up already for the Sandigan Bayan. It's been there for almost a year and a half. So I wish that the Sandigan Bayan will get on with it.
Tell us
because,
why that's important. Some of the The new voters don't
this
know.
is simply a scam wherein the architect, the principal, did some kind of putting together names of congressmen and governors to give them some kind of legitimacy to withdraw in 2004, February, 728 million pesos worth of quote-unquote fertilizers, which are not the right fertilizer for rice and corn. This is foliare, and it's costing then 75 pesos per liter. They were pricing it at 1,000 to 1,200 per liter. They're not interested in 10%. They're interested in 10 to 15 times. So it went up to about 2.8 billion after a while, because part of the buildup of funds was to support some candidates in 2004. And we went after them, but they refused to attend the hearings.
Yes.
They went to the States and they were arrested by the US government, this particular person that I referred to. But he's released already. He came back in 2010. I was no longer in the Senate. And again, there was an investigation by then Senator Dick Gordon. But the investigation of 2005, which I conducted with the Committee on Agriculture and Blue Ribbon of Joker Arroyo,
Correct.
made a very strong report, and it went to the COA, it went to the Ombudsman, and it's about the same, those who were the principals.
The same. So
Yeah.
you didn't mention his name.
No,
You don't want to talk about who it is. We have a lot
I
of
think
questions.
everybody knows about him. But I don't want to jump to conclusions.
Okay.
I want him to just understand that there's nothing personal between us. I never even know him. I didn't know him.
This is Jok Bolante.
Yes.
Jok Bolante.
That's on
Okay.
the record, yes.
Yes, it is on the record.
Jocelyn Bolante.
Yes, yes. We have a lot of questions that are coming in
Yes,
now. Let me
yes.
just throw to you from what you were talking about with the internet from @Sesso. What does Jun Magsaysay think of the anti-cybercrime law? Are you for or against it?
As it is now, I'm against it. The House and the Senate version were good. Generally, it was acceptable.
Yes.
We have to protect our ID, our credit cards and our transactions. But in the bicameral conference committee between the House and the Senate, somebody inserted a provision to criminalize libel.
Libel.
And that spoiled the whole measure. So it has to go back to the Congress, and the proper amendments can be done. Incidentally, President Obama was so impatient to have his own cybercrime law in the States.
Right.
There were so many identity thefts and data thefts that he issued an executive order in the meantime.
Yes.
That's how important it is.
I just came from a 2-day conference looking at the dangers of the internet.
Yes.
And people recognize that there are massive dangers ahead. And it's just that law has
Right.
become quite controversial. From @UrbanRoamer, do you agree in scrapping the 60-40 restrictions in our Constitution for the Philippines to be more open to investments?
That's a very ticklish issue, Marie. I think that we should stick to it. What we should look at is the leasing of public land. I think the 25 years is not enough. If we can have a 50 plus 25, that would be good. We're looking at our natural resources, no? So the 60-40, I think is all right. We have really opened up during the 90s that even retailing is, any foreigner can come here
Right.
and open up retails and work with Shumart or with Gokongwei on any basis that they would like.